Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Gosling Media Live. 1 week behind schedule thanks to the storm. I hope everyone out there is safe. We got a little bit of flooding in our basement studio here, but that's all been taken care of now, and hopefully we can jump back in and get back to normal. So quick look at the upcoming shows. Today we'll be talking about PowerPoint. I'll explain why in a minute. Next week we're going to be talking about how to make the perfect ad, whether it's display ads, social ads, video ads, what goes into making a good ad, what makes it work. And then after that, I've got a really exciting episode planned where we're going to be speaking with Rob Resizing, who's a marketing aficionado, and I'm very excited to do an interview on the show. So for today's episode, how to make anything in PowerPoint. You might be wondering, why on earth would I want to make things in PowerPoint outside of what I have to? And the reality is PowerPoint gets such a bad rep because people are forced to use it at work and they don't necessarily want to. Also, PowerPoint is one of these tools where they make it very easy to make bad PowerPoints. I used to say the same thing about Flash. Flash was like a very easy tool to get into and make animated websites, but because it was so easy, you ended up with a lot of bad Flash websites, and that sort of made everyone hate on Flash a lot. I feel like PowerPoint's the same in a lot of ways, where there's so many bad examples of it that people just instantly dismiss it. But the reality, it's actually a very powerful tool, and I'm going to show you a few different things that you can do in it. We're going to be making these different assets. So we're going to make a couple of promo banners. We're going to make a screen capture video, again 100% in PowerPoint. We're going to capture the screen, edit the video, stylize it, and add some motion graphics. And then we're also going to make a print document, like a sell sheet. I'm using what's called Gosling 360. It's our new client dashboard that just released last week. So I'm trying to think of like a real world use case here to put these assets together, and I need to put some materials together for this new dashboard. So this is what we're doing. So let me jump into PowerPoint right now. Very quickly though, if you want to email live@goslingmedia.com. If you've got any questions or feedback, I would love to hear from you. And also, of course, you can go to goslingmedia.com/live and you can see all of the episodes, previous episodes and upcoming schedule. Okay, so let's jump into PowerPoint. And here we go. So PowerPoint, open it up, start with a blank canvas. We're going to do the screen capture first because we're going to use that asset across all of the others. So let's just delete the placeholder that comes in here. And to capture the screen, we're going to go to Insert. And then you've got all of these options across the top here. I'm not going to be able to get into all of them, but there's a lot of powerful stuff very much hidden in the behind the menus in PowerPoint. It's not always obvious where you find it. But we're going to go over to screen recording. And if you've ever used any screen capture software like Camtasia, this will be very familiar. So I'm going to select the region of the screen I want. But first of all, I need to pull up my page that I want to capture. Here it is. So I'm going to select the page here. So this is everything it's going to record. Everything that happens within this dotted red line is what we'll record. It will record audio as well. I'm not going to go into audio today because it's too much to unpack, but you can do full audio recording and editing even in PowerPoint too. So for now, we're not going to worry about the audio. And I'm just going to capture a few seconds of me clicking around on the platform. But if you were doing this for real with some software or one of whatever it is that you need to demonstrate. Obviously you could take your time, and I'll show you how to trim the footage afterwards, so you don't need to worry too much about being perfect as you're going through. So I'm going to hit record. Okay, so I'm just going to move my mouse, come down to analytics. You can see all of the analytics showing the requests that you've been making. I'm going to go back to projects and then select a project. This one has an item ready for review, so I'm going to click on this and I get a preview window of the asset, and I can zoom in. Looks great. All right, left some feedback. That's all I'm going to capture for now. So if you move your mouse all the way to the top of the screen, you'll get this pop-out window. So I'm just going to stop it there. And it takes us now back to PowerPoint. And you'll see that the video is here already. So this is the video. I love. You can resize it. You can do anything you want to this video as if it was an image in PowerPoint. So you can click play here, skip ahead. This is what we just captured. So let's go ahead and stylize this a little bit. First of all, I think a big rule that I have in PowerPoint is never use like default styles. So you can select this and click on one of these pre-formatted styles, and honestly most of them are terrible. Less is more is, you know, often said, but when it comes to styling in PowerPoint, less really is more. So I would avoid using these presets, and I'll show you how to just make a nice simple layout right now. So I'm going to reset this. First thing is to get rid of this white background. An easy way of doing that is to just add a gradient to the background. So I'm going to right click on anywhere on the background and format. And a lot of the powerful features in PowerPoint are hidden in this sidebar. When you right click there, you can also get to it by clicking, if I have something selected, you can click this little tiny arrow here. I don't know why they make it so hidden to pull up the extra options, but we'll be using this side panel a lot. So have nothing selected, right click, format background. And here we can choose whether we want solid fill, so I could just make it a blue background and be done. But with most designs, it's nice to have some either texture or simple imagery or just a gradient in the background to give a bit of depth, because nothing in life is like perfectly flat, so it looks a little funny to have it so. So you might see this when you first load it. It might have something like this. So you can choose whether it's linear or radial gradient, so whether it's a circle or straight lines. So for this, I'm gonna remove some of these and do the radial gradient. Let's move this out of the way. So you can see here, it's going from white to blue with a radius. It's curved, it's not like a straight line. And we can choose where the gradient position is. So here you have white in the middle and it goes to the darker color on the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and just change these colors a little bit. Let's try a bit darker because I want the content on top to stand out. So that's not bad. And then you can drag these elements in and out depending on where you want it. Maybe it comes from the side. I think just from the center, we're going to be having things on top as well. So that's looking pretty good. Maybe just make this a touch darker. See, I selected the wrong one there. Let's put that one back and then make this one darker. Okay, so it's almost like a vignette, you know, like in photography on Instagram, you can apply filters and you put that sort of shadow around the frame. Really helps. It makes everything on top of it stand out more, but it also just makes it feel a bit more natural because, like I said before, nothing's ever perfectly flat. So we've got a simple background with a simple gradient. We've got our video on top, but I want to have some text and maybe graphics next to the video. Maybe it's a bit boring, the interface that I'm showing. So I am gonna use one of the 3D styles that they have in PowerPoint. So I've got the video selected, I've got the side panel open, and I'm gonna go ahead to this 3D rotation tool. And like before, less is more, so you don't want to go crazy with it. But one of these simple perspectives can be quite nice just to, again, make it a bit more visually interesting and stand out a bit. So let's scale this down. And so if I hit play now, you'll see the video playing, but it's at this angle. Okay, so you can also change the contrast and brightness and things like that of the video. You can make it black and white if you wanted to. You could apply a color overlay if you want. So you can do a lot inside PowerPoint in terms of like the image adjustments as well, like color correction, which is, you know, it's incredible. I think it's brilliant. I mean, I use Adobe Premiere and Final Cut and, you know, professional software all day, but I still really there's something about PowerPoint and just like how much you can do with a tool that is meant for boring presentations. Usually, I just find it really funny. So let's go back to the styling. So I've got this 3D rotation. Let's maybe add a little shadow. So one of these perspective ones like that. Looks fine. So we don't want to overdo it. Those presets can get silly. So let's have it positioned here. So I mentioned before that you can trim the video or edit the video. So maybe I want to cut out the first couple of seconds, like my mouse kind of hesitates a little bit before I move over. So with the video selected, you can go to playback and then trim video up here. And this gives you a little editing window where you can set the start point and the end point. So if we only want to show a few seconds of it, you can just say, okay, let's start just before I click on the Analytics tab. And let's end right as soon as I click Submit on that. Now this may be a little long, so I might trim this a little bit further, but this gives you a lot of control over the video because you could have the video span multiple slides as well. So you can do trims on each slide and then you're basically cutting video together, same how you would in a video editing software. So got the end point there. Let's click OK. So now it's trimmed. So when I hit play, it goes straight to the analytics and so on. So that's the video portion basically done. You could, you don't have to do this styling. You could just go ahead and export this now and have that screen capture footage done. I'm going to make this more like a promo for the platform though. So I'm going to add in some text. So if you just go to the home, grab my little text box and let's put all new. And it's a project management dashboard. You might want to do something a bit more exciting, but this is just the demo. And then let's throw in a call to action. So learn more at. And I'm doing it as separate text boxes so that I can have more control over the styling. because it can be difficult to style the text within one box differently for all. And also I'm going to add some animation, so having the text in separate boxes is good, so you can animate the elements differently. So let's select, say, this one. I'm using a font called Poppins. Obviously you can use whatever font you want. Let's just quickly style this a little bit. This little S here can add a text shadow, or you can come to text options over here, and there's some shadow presets just to lift it off the page a little bit. Now you can just go through styling each, but there's a great little shortcut. So if I have this selected and go up to the top left here, this format painter, if I click it once, it sucks in the styling from whatever's selected, and then if I click on here, it applies the style just to one element. But if I undo that and select this again, and if you click it twice, you can then keep clicking and do all of them until you hit escape. It's a massive, massive time saver. So here, let's just make this one bigger. Let's break it onto 2 lines. Maybe actually break it onto 3 lines. With the text, like, contrast is good, so small versus like these large ones. If the text is all the same, it's like when people have everything bold. If everything's bold and prominent, then nothing is bold and prominent, right? So having contrast between the different areas is good. It just looks better, and people's eyes will be directed to the more important pieces better as well. Okay, so this is fine, but I do want to add just a little bit of like a design element, or something that stands out as well. So I'm going to have a ribbon animate in, and that's actually much easier to do than you might expect. So I'm going to start off by just drawing a rectangle. Go to home. Again, never use the presets, so get rid of the outline, and let's make this pink so it really stands out. So I'm going to more fill colors, opens this window. Now all of this works on PC or Mac. The interface is slightly different on a Mac, but all of the things I'm doing here you should be able to do fine on both. So I'm just playing around here, trying to find the kind of pink color I've been using in the past. Maybe a little more red. Okay, and let's send that backward. So send back, bring to front. It's basically the elements are like layers, so you can stack them on top of each other. So I've got this one box, and I want it to sort of zigzag out from behind the video. So I'm going to copy this and do another one and do one more. Now this is really something that I don't think many people use or know about, is if you have a shape selected in PowerPoint and you right click on it, you can go to Edit Points, and then this lets you manipulate the shape the same you would as in Adobe Illustrator or Sketch or Figma or something, where you can really now control exactly how you want the shape, and you can even right click and add a point. So you can do really detailed like vector drawing graphics in PowerPoint. So let me undo that. So for this one, I basically just want to make a bit of a point here. Of course, you can just bring in triangles and stuff as well, but I find it easy just to edit the points, to be honest, because then I can get it exactly how I want. I'm going to send this to back. Maybe it's a little more like this. And then, so this is going to be at the back. So I'm going to make this color a bit darker. So we're going to come here and just knock it back like that. So then this is going to attach here, and then this will join onto this part. So this probably needs to come over a little bit and be the connection. So imagine it's a ribbon going between them both. So edit points. I want this at the bottom here, and then this to join at the top. You can zoom in and be more accurate. I'm just trying to be quick. Dark again, but not as dark. Let's bring this one up in between the two, just so you can see the separation. And then this needs to go backwards like that. So you can start to see it's looking like this sort of ribbon effect. So you can continue tweaking that however you want, get the shape how you need it. You can bring in pre-drawn vectors. There's lots of like online resources that you can do things very easily, but I wanted to show exactly what can be done just in PowerPoint. Okay, so we've got this set up. So now we're gonna animate it. Actually, got one more thing to add, which is my logo. You want to make sure that your branding is in there. So go back to Insert, Pictures. This device. I'm going to grab my media logo quickly and drop it in here. Now, this is fine, but maybe I often use just the little gosling by itself as a mark. Maybe for some reason I don't have that file where it is just the gosling by itself. I only have this. What we can do is, if you have the image selected, go up to crop. And I'm just gonna cut out all of the text and just leave the little gosling. And there he is. But also, I often have it where it's just like a single color. So you just see the shape. Because this is an image, you can't just go like change color here. But what you can do is, if you go to Format Picture and then go to, there's the correction and color tools here. I can turn the brightness just all the way up to 100, and then you have a white version of your logo. Pretty handy, and if I wanted it black, then you can go all the way down. So that's very useful. All right, so now I've got the logo in place, I've got the assets here, I've got the video. I'm just gonna move it all over a little bit. And then comes some animation. Oh, well, actually, let's save it. PowerPoint does crash occasionally, not as much as it used to, but always be saving. Too many times of being burnt by not having work saved. So let's play around with this a little bit more. I think quite like that shape. So edit points. Let's make it so it's got a bit like of an angle to it. And then this one would fit in here. All right, so for the animation, as with everything in PowerPoint, less is more. So come to that animations. It's got animations already attached. So whenever you have an animation, so if I added something to this one, you'll see when you have the animations tab selected, they put this little tab on it, so you know the sequence that's happening. The best way of animating, though, I find, is if you come up to the top and click this animation pane, it opens this side window, and this actually works like a timeline. So if you've ever worked in iMovie or Adobe Premiere or anything like that, you'll recognize this sort of timeline concept. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete what it had to start with. It just, this is a much easier way of doing it, and You know, you often would, if I have something on here, be playing around with the duration and delays and when does it start. So definitely, you know, that works, but the animation pane just, I find a much easier way of working. So we've got the video. We want to make sure it plays back automatically. So I'm going to go to playback automatically. That adds in this animation here. You don't actually need this pause one. So we just want it to play automatically. We want the text to come in. So there's a lot of very silly animations, star wipes, bounce. They're really awful. So just use either fade or float in or wipe. Keep it very simple and always make it quicker so it's less painful to watch. So you just want it to come into place and not be like too labored. And another good thing you want to do is stagger the animation. So right now I've got them coming in at the same time. It looks much better if they're delayed. So it's hard to edit at the moment because these are so small. So if you come down to the bottom here, I can zoom in and get more control because I'm looking at stuff that's, you know, less than a second long. So this is the start and end point. I'm going to stagger this so there's an overlap. So when you play it now, oops, that's a good point I just realized. So because the video is set to autoplay and the animation of the element I currently have set on click, we don't want that. And you don't want after previous because that would wait for the whole video to play. We want with previous, so it's going to start at the same time, but we're going to add a delay of a few seconds so that the video can play for a little bit and then the text starts animating in. So let's say delay for 2 seconds. I'll zoom out on this a little bit. So we've got the first one here. I'll zoom out a little bit more. I zoomed in too much. And then the second one is here. So we just want to overlap that. So if I go to play all now, it will wait 2 seconds and then they come in. Maybe it's a little too quick. So zoom in. I'm just going to stretch this out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you're never going to get amazing animation, but it's really powerful and good enough, you know, for doing quick videos. So we've got those coming in. Now we want to do this like ribbon effect. So to do that, we're going to select the back piece and do a wipe, which basically reveals it from one end to the other. So we want it to go from left to right so that it's coming out that way. Then we're going to grab the middle piece, add a wipe. This one's going to come from right to left. And then finally this one, add a wipe, and this one's going to come from the left. So these three, right now, by default, it's set to on click. I'm going to select them all, do it with previous, but we want to drag them over and delay it. And then these ones, I don't really want to overlap because you need the full ribbon to finish moving before the next one starts. So let's see how this looks. Okay, not bad. And then finally, we've got this text here. I'm going to have these two just fade in together. So I'm going to group them and just add a fade. And that fade is going to happen with previous, but let's delay it a little more. Slight overlap, and let's see. Okay, so that ribbon's a little slow. So I think if I grab these three, and knock it down to 0.25. Let's just slide this over and make this a little faster. All right. Obviously you can add sequences, you can have more pages or slides and add more sequences of animations, but for this demo, that is enough. So that's basically it. We have a video made, so you can go into presentation mode and play it. So you see the video starts playing and the text comes in. Lots more can be done. You can add music, you can add voiceover, you can have multiple cuts to the video, but hopefully that's enough to give you a starting point. So to actually get it as a video, you can just go to File, Export, and we want to create a video, and usually just full HD. Don't worry about the time spent on slides. This is for, if you're doing presentations, you can actually record the timing, like clicking manually, it will record the timings for you and then export the video with those timings in place. So don't worry about that for this, just create video. And that is it. We now have a video. Let's throw it on the desktop. Next up, I want to take what we've done and repurpose it into some different assets. So we've done the bulk of the work together, this graphic. Just export that just came out, demo.mp4. It's on my other window. Here we go. So we have a video, lovely. You can also export it as a GIF. I call it GIF, not GIF, whatever. Hit me up in the comments if you disagree, or email live@goslingmedia.com if you think it's GIF. I know the guy that came up, I don't know him, but I've heard that the guy that came up with that file format calls it a GIF, but I still think it's wrong. It's GIF, it's gotta be GIF, it's not a J. But yeah, create animated GIF, same as the video. You can click it here, choose the size that you want, and so on, create GIF. So you can make your own memes or animated GIFs to your heart's content in PowerPoint, bang out as many as you want. Okay, so moving on, we've done the screen capture video, we've added some motion graphics to it and exported it as a video. So maybe now I want to make a static promo, just as an image. So you can just literally go ahead and export this as an image too. It will basically be like a screenshot of what we have displayed at the moment. Say you want to make this video though show, let's say we want it to show this when I export it. What you can do with the video selected, if you go to video format, they call it poster frame. So that's the default image if the video isn't playing. So when you export the video as an image, it will use the poster frame as the image. So set that to current frame, file, export. So if you click change file type, it gives you all kinds of options. So here we're going to do PNG. And it's saving. Again, I'm just going to throw it on my desk. Just this one. That was asking if I wanted to do all just this one. There's only one slide, so it's silly to ask, but if it can do a sequence, so it will export image. So there's the image. Let's just pull this up. And there we go. So now we have a PNG of the video with the graphics that we added. That could be used on Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere that you maybe do a social post, use the graphic, link to the video, or even just post the video. Depends what it is you're promoting, but it's good to often have the static visual as well as the motion version. And often these different platforms need different sizes. So say this is currently just landscape video size. Maybe you want a square or portrait size for different platforms. So we can resize this just directly in PowerPoint as well. So with nothing selected, go to design, and then click slide size at the top right here and click custom. And there's a bunch of presets, but say we know that we want to do a square for Instagram, say. You can just type in whatever you want, and the default here is inches. It might be millimeters and centimeters in England, but you can just type in px. So I want it to be 1080 pixels wide by 1080 pixels high. It converts it into inches or whatever the default is for you. Click OK. And then you get this option here where it's saying, I'm going to resize the slide, and you've got contents on it. Do you want me to make the contents fill the slide, but maybe, you know, some of it gets cropped, or do you want me to make sure it all fits in? So I'm going to do ensure fit. And there we go. So we now have a square version, but the layout looks a little funny. So you can just quickly move these elements around. So it's a bit more suited to the square format. So let's make this bigger. So I'm going to group them. I'm not worried about animation because this is just going to be static. Now you notice when you scale shapes with text inside, the text stays the same size, which, you know, at first is like super annoying, but it's actually really easy to deal with this. So say I want this to be this size. If I go to home, you just click the little A up arrow here until it's the size you want. So it's very quick and easy to adapt to the different dimensions. So maybe here this is, grab these two, do that little trick, make the text bigger, fill the space a bit more. And I'm going to ungroup. I'm going to grab this one, send it to the back. So sort of squeeze this in a little bit. You get the idea. So now we have a resized graphic. And, you know, you could keep going. You could do banner ads even where you've got the different sizes just by resizing the PowerPoint frame. So we would just go ahead and export this like we did as a PNG before. So we've made a video, we've made a couple of promo assets. We can even go further and make print materials in PowerPoint. Because you can save out to a PDF and because it's vector based, you can do actually print ready PDFs in PowerPoint. So say I wanted to put together a sell sheet, like a one-page overview of this dashboard. I'm going to take what I've got right here and do that. So we're going to go back to that design tab, slide size, custom. I'm going to do letter, paper, portrait, and ensure fit. So now we have a print paper size document. But you know, we need to add some stuff here, and also for print, if you're not doing it professionally, like a full bleed thing like this might not be ideal. So let's add a bit of more white into it so that we can put text on top easier. I'm also going to reset this so that it's flat. So if I come to video format and come back to reset design, I'll show you why in a second. So maybe we have a couple of screenshots from the video. We could move this down to the bottom. Anything that goes off the side when you save it as a PDF won't be shown, so it's fine to have things overlap. Maybe this is here, and then let's add in just like a container. So I've just grabbed the rounded rectangle tool, get rid of the outline, make it white. And then this little orange circle here, you can drag it and change the radius of the corners. So just knock that right back. And I'm just going to add a very simple shadow, just very subtle shadow to it. Select this, let's send it to back, and just align this a little bit so this one actually needs to go back. Then we're gonna move these over. It's a little close to the edge. Let's just bring this up. Going to edit the points again, get this attached to the right spot. Let's bring it over so you can see a bit more of this. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting too fiddly on this, but you understand the idea. Maybe this has a very slight shadow as well. Let's just grab a shadow here. So for the screenshots of the video, we can use that poster frame that we were talking about before. So if I go to video format, poster frame, so let's say I want to do a screenshot showing the analytics. We can set current frame as the poster. Then if you right click on this and save as picture, demo, it's now, I've got that as a separate asset, so I can go to insert pictures and grab the image I just exported. And here it is as a standalone image. And we can do the same. So if I want a screenshot showing maybe the project listings, I'm going to do video format, poster frame, current frame, right click, save as picture. And I'm going to do one more where it's showing the, so right click, oops. Got to set the poster frame, current frame, right click, save as picture. Now you can, there's another way of doing this, it's quicker picture. Anything at all in PowerPoint that you select and copy, you can paste back in as an image. So this video, right now it's still a video. If I copy it and paste it, you get this little tab here, paste options. Click the down arrow and go to the picture. And that actually now pasted in what was the video as an image. So you can do the same with anything. So say I want this text. If I copy this, paste, click the arrow and picture, this text is now an image rather than live text. Usually you'd want to keep the text live text, but there are times where like there's certain things you want to do that can't be done to the text directly. So having it as an image makes sense. But that's a nice little trick as well. So I just needed to bring in one more that I'd saved. Insert pictures. Let's just grab that third one. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the video now because I've got what I needed. So we've got these 3 screenshots. I'm just going to scale this down. And here. Great tip as well if I select all 3, and then you can align left and do distribute vertically. That makes sure that the spacing between the 3 is perfect, so they're all aligned to the left and the spacing is even. Let's go ahead and just add a little bit of a shadow to these guys too. Just a simple one. See, the defaults aren't great. So for these ones, let's select the images. We're going to click this little arrow to get the sidebar, and then we can actually tweak the shadow really specifically with these tools here. So one of the first things I would always do is don't have the shadow black. It always looks better if it's like a very dark blue or whatever color the main color is on the page, but it's very subtle difference, but it just looks nicer and it fits in better with the overall design. You can play around with the angle. So if I add some distance, you can choose basically where the sunlight is, where the light source is that's casting the shadow. But let's just keep this very simple. So I'm going to knock the size back a lot, knock this blur back a bit, and let's make it a little more transparent. Just enough there. And let's just finish this out. So we're going to add in some text. Whoops. Add in some text. So let's clear the styles of this. This little A with the eraser removes any formatting that's attached. Let's just make this black, maybe a bit smaller. And let's just put like project, archive, whatever the sales messaging that you need is. This could be roofing tools and oops, project analytics. Again, I'm going to grab these 3, align left, and then distribute vertically, make sure they're even, and so on. We would just keep adding more text to it. I'm just going to put in this for now. So these would be like selling points maybe, or additional information about the features. Okay, so add all the content you want. You've got this here. My logo got lost along the way, so let's bring him to the front. And like I was saying before, now that it's white on white, we can't see him. So I could just knock it down to black. That's all good. So save that. And then to save it as a PDF is same as before. I've got a save as Adobe PDF option here. That doesn't always display. I think you have to have Acrobat installed for that to show up. But you can always export it as a PDF. You can go to the change file type. Of a file type, there's lots of different formats that you can export it to, but usually PowerPoint to PDF is what you want. So let's just go ahead and do that. And the great thing about doing print collateral and things like that in PowerPoint is that anyone can edit it. So we would often use InDesign or professional, publishing software to do sales materials, but then every single text change that is needed would have to come into our design team. So it sounds insane, but we started making like print collateral in PowerPoint, because then you can share the PowerPoint file. The salesperson or product marketing person or whoever it is that needs to change the text can, and then you just show them how to save it out as a PDF, and it works great. It really does. So if I jump back now, that was a lot in a short amount of time. Here we are. So we have made a video, a screen capture video, and then stylized it and added motion graphics. We made static, different sizes of promo banners, and we also made a print ready PDF as well. There's just one or two little things left I wanted to show, and that's just some of the stuff that really, most people just don't know exists, and not necessarily something that you would use on the daily. But if you go to insert, and you've got these other options here, but if you come to 3D models and stock 3D models, you can upload any. So there are online resources for 3D models, but this is amazing. So let's say we want to do a mock-up on a laptop or something. So I'm going to grab a 3D model. Here we go. And again, nothing added. This is all just pure PowerPoint. It's bringing in this 3D model. And like I was saying, you can pull in 3D models from all kinds of different online resources, and you can get them for free. So let's pull this up. So great, looks like a stock image, but then you grab this and I can actually move this around in PowerPoint, which is just phenomenal. I think it's incredible. So if we wanted to have a picture of a laptop, maybe in our sell sheet we wanted a laptop in here, so you could just bring it in. You got this 3D model, you can position it however you want it. You can even change, if I come over to the sidebar and click here, there's the rotation, and then there's the camera position. So if you imagine you're looking at it as a camera, you can move that around. But basically the angles you can edit in quite a granular detail here. So let's say we want it like this. When you export this as a PDF or an image or whatever, now this will be here. So it's a fantastic tool that you can do a lot of fun stuff with. There's also icons. So a lot of the time, I know salespeople will struggle to be able to, they'll go on Google Images or something like that and just try and find random icons and graphics off the internet. They actually have built in now a really good library of icons. And the great thing about using PowerPoint's built-in ones, let's say I want to have, let's stick with the laptop theme. So an icon of a laptop, because it's coming through PowerPoint directly, I can edit everything as if it was a shape I drew in PowerPoint. So I can change the color, but I can also, add the effects that we've been playing around with. And because it's, like a vector rather than an image, it can even convert it to a shape here, and then edit points, and then you can do whatever you want here. So it's an amazing resource. Bring in the icons you want. You can change the colors, you can apply styles, you can customize it all within PowerPoint. So it's as powerful as Illustrator in that respect. That is everything I'm going to cover right now. There is a lot more when you start getting into the slideshow tools, being able to record voiceovers with your presentations. They also have interactive, this Zoom tool. If you ever use Prezi, you can make Prezi style presentations in PowerPoint. So maybe I'll save that for another day. But I hope that you got some value out of this, maybe learned something. And if you're still watching this, well done, you got through it. Next week, we're going to be talking about advertising and how to make awesome ads that perform. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Cheers. Bye.